welcome to Smart for TGT-PGT. This is a channel providing content of biology for all TET, TGT and PGT exams. This is the series of human physiology considering the chapter endocrine glands and hormones. This is the part 4. This channel provides pointers of the full syllabus and questions to ace your preparation. So let's start. So now we know about the endocrine glands and their hormones, their functions. However, hormones are also secreted by some of the tissues which are not from endocrine glands. Like hormones are secreted from heart, kidney and some portion of GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. Talking of hormones of heart, arterial wall secretes arterial natriuretic factor ANF. The major function of this ANF hormone is it decreases blood pressure. When blood pressure is increased, ANF is secreted, which causes the dilation of blood vessels, thus leads to the decrease in blood pressure. So the next organ which secretes hormones and also this organ is not an endocrine gland is kidney. Hormones of kidney. The cells, juxtaglomerular cells of kidney secretes erythropoietin. Erythropoietin stimulates the formation of red blood cells. The process is termed as erythropoiesis. As stated, GI tract, gastrointestinal tract has endocrine cells which also secrete some of the hormones. Those are peptidic in nature. Hormones of gastric, GI tract. Endocrine cells secretes 4 major hormones peptidic in nature. First is gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin CCK, gastric inhibitory peptide GIP. Let us discuss the function of each of these hormones. Gastrin acts on gastric gland and stimulates secretion of HCl and pepsinogen in stomach. Secretin acts on exocrine pancreas and stimulates secretion of water and bicarbonate ions. CCK acts on pancreas, thus secrete pancreatic enzymes. It also acts on gallbladder, leads in the secretion of bile. GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, inhibits gastric secretion and mobility. In this slide, we will discuss about the mechanism of hormone action. So hormones produce their effects on target tissues by binding to specific proteins called hormone receptors. Receptors are present in the target tissue. Receptors can be present in the plasma membrane of the target tissue or it can be present inside the tissue or inside the cell. So receptors can be membrane bound, like those receptors which are present in the membrane of the cell, or intracellular receptors are present inside the nucleus or the cytoplasm of the cell. Binding of hormone to its receptor leads to formation of hormone receptor complex. This brings some biochemical changes in the target tissue. Thus, hormone brings out these changes and functions as messengers. Okay. Target tissue metabolism is targeted and physiological functions are regulated by hormones. On the basis, there are various type of hormones on the basis of their chemical nature. So there are 4 types of hormones: peptide, steroids. These are the group of hormones: peptide, steroids, iodothreonins and amino acid derivatives. Some of the examples are insulin, glucagon, pituitary and hypothalamic hormones are examples of peptide hormones. Steroids, cortisols, testosterone, estradiol, progesterone are the example of steroid hormones. Thyroid hormones are example of iodothreonins, and epinephrine, norepinephrine are examples of amino acid derivative hormones. Hormones interact with the receptors can be membrane bound and intracellular type. So hormones act differently with membrane bound and act differently with intracellular receptors. मेजरली जो पेप्टाइड हार्मोन्स होते हैं वो हमारे मेम्ब्रेन बाउंड रिसेप्टर्स के साथ फंक्शन करते हैं एंड जो स्टेरॉयड हार्मोन्स होते हैं वो इंट्रासेलुलर रिसेप्टर्स के साथ फंक्शन करते हैं. Protein hormones or peptide hormones binds to the membrane bound receptors. Here we can see an example of FSH binds to the receptor, membrane bound receptor present in ovarian cell membrane, gives a response which is considered response 1 that generates secondary messengers. Primary messengers are hormone. Secondary messengers which is basically cyclic AMP or calcium. These leads to some of the biochemical responses, leads to physiological responses like ovarian growth. Hormones which interact with intracellular receptors are steroid hormones or iodothreonins. Okay, steroid hormones, like here we will see the example of estrogen, and this is the uterine cells. The receptor present of estrogen, the receptor of estrogen is present in the nucleus. Thus, the receptor hormone complex is formed in nucleus. It produces some of the transcription factors which binds to the genome. Transcription factors binds to the genome of the uterine cell membrane, leads to the physiological responses like tissue growth and differentiation. These cumulative biochemical actions result in the physiological and developmental effects. This is how the peptide hormones and steroid hormones functions with relation to the membrane bound receptors or intercellular receptors.